because I am now dealing with a doctrine or theory which says that fate is nothing but the accumulation of your past actions. So ultimately, if you see your lives in a continuity, then it was all your actions. So there is no divine power or nothing. Everything is governed by what you did in your lives, past lives. So that's why I have just slightly changed my topic. And it talks about the amalgamation of two theories of human destiny, which is there in Indian knowledge system, that is the doctrine of karman and doctrine of Jyotiḥśāstra. So Jyotiḥśāstra is literally it means science of light, that is astrology. And I am presenting here, it's very, I have made a very boring kind of presentation because it is just an academic thing, and I am presenting a edition and translation of one of the texts, astrological text, and just one chapter of that text, which belongs to my So I will rush through many initial slides. So my inspiration for my research is this statement by great David Pingree, who worked a lot for Indian astrology, Indian astronomy. And the real problem in Indian knowledge system is to preserve the manuscripts which are lying in various libraries in India. There are more than 100,000 manuscripts concerning astrology, and almost more than 90% of them are not accessible yet. So he wrote in 1981 itself that many manuscripts will soon disappear, and we will lose all our knowledge of Indian astrology. And also Dr. Campion has said in his book that there is no shortage of instructional books on Indian astrology, but the academic books or scholarly books are very scarce. The background of this presentation is that it is just a very small part of my MPhil and DPhil research in Oxford. So the topic is the two theories of human destiny, the metaphysics of karman and the exact science of Jyotiḥśāstra, that is astrology. And it is evolving into the DPhil, in which I am dealing with many astrological yatra texts. Yatra literally means journey or military march. So there I am comparing Indian astrological texts with the Middle Eastern texts, and it will be a lot of critical edition and translation of original manuscripts. Academic rationale is that for this presentation, so this Indian knowledge system has this peculiar aspect of preserving everything, whatever was coming to India from Greece or anywhere. So there is a lot of history about Indo-Greek interaction. So even the current Indian astrology is nothing but a form of Greek astrology, and it is largely based on ancient Greek astrology, but well preserved in India. Probably it is not available in the West, but it is well preserved in India. And my contribution here is I am dealing with a text that is called Bṛhadyātrā, that is a large compendium on journeys, and it is written by Varāhamihira, the 6th century astronomer and astrologer, the most celebrated astrologer of India. And at Pingree so this text has two critical editions. One was done in 1952 by Basant Pandit. It was never published, but I just got a copy from the library. And then in 1972 by David Pingree. But both of them had access to only three copies of manuscripts. But and Pingree himself said that probably in future some other scholar will improve it because it's very faulty and not dependable. So I have used 20 manuscripts accessed across the Indian subcontinent. So so there are many manuscripts, all in Sanskrit, but written in different scripts. Devanagari, Malayalam, Tamil, and many other scripts, Nepali. And so there are very good manuscripts like this, very clearly written from Varanasi, from Jodhpur, Rajasthan. But there are really very bad ones written on palm leaf, like in Trivandrum, very broken. This is Newari script from Nepal, Kathmandu. So I dealt with many things. I have just edited. I will just rush through. So this is the critical apparatus. You can see that. So these manuscripts are so faulty. So you know these scribes, when they copy from one manuscript to other manuscript, so they do a lot of mistakes because they are not Sanskrit scholars, or they don't understand astrology. They are probably copying for some king or some good rich people. So they do mistakes. So you can see this critical apparatus that probably every word is problematic. None of the manuscripts are same. So some did some funny mistake, some did some other funny mistake. So but now it is well edited, and I am going to publish it. So the importance of this thing is that, so there is a chapter in this manuscript, this text, Bṛhadyātrā, the first chapter, that is called the chapter on fate and free will, this discourse on fate and human effort. And Varāhamihira is the only ancient big astrologer who explicitly did that. And if you compare him with his elder astrologers like Ptolemy or Vettius Valens, or the juniors like Abu Masar or Bonatti, they don't discuss this aspect in detail or in a very explicit manner. Some line here, there, some quotes, but not in a very explicit manner. So Varāhamihira does that. So he made actually astrology accountable. So probably it's very it is very problematic for Indian system that a lot of philosophy is involved. So I will just give a brief summary. It's a kind of crime to summarize doctrine of karman in one slide, but I am still doing that. So all religions and philosophies in India, they believe in doctrine of karman. Karman it's a Sanskrit word. It's from the root kri, which means actions, deeds, or duty. So it's like the Western karma. So karman is the original word, and it has three essential elements like causation, ethicization, and rebirth. You all know probably. In early Vedas, it meant karman was sacrifice or rituals, because rituals were considered as the ultimate duty. And so karman is supposed to generate some unseen and extraordinary cosmic powers, and these powers affect one's life in future. So that is the overall concept. And so when you do some action, some karmic impressions are created. It gets attached to your soul, and when you take a new birth, that those karmic impressions get manifested again. So, but so India is a very vast country, many religions, many philosophies, all fights with each other. So like Buddhists, they don't believe in soul, the idea of soul. So for them, it's cognition. It's the cognition which transmigrates, not the soul. So, and again, I am summarizing the whole idea of rebirth in one slide. So all religions, including tribal traditions, they all believed in the theory of rebirth. But the Vedic tradition, it's very interesting, very few people know this. So the Vedic people, they were not much concerned about rebirth, that is punarjanma. They were more concerned about re-death, punarmrityu. So the idea is that when you die, you go to heaven, and once your all meritorious deeds exhaust, then you die there in heaven, and you have to take another birth on the earth. So they had this concern that we should stop that process. We should not die in heaven. That's why this is the Hindu practice of Shraddha and offering food and water to our ancestors. By doing that, you ensure that they don't die in the heaven. So if they don't die in heaven, then they will not have to take another birth here on the earth, and they don't have to suffer again. So they, for doing that, they did a lot of rituals. But so the Vedic solution was that just stay in heaven for unlimited time. But for Jainas, the other religion, they did not believe in that. They believe in immobile asceticism. So it is a word coined by Johannes Bronkhorst, great scholar on rebirth and karman. So immobile asceticism was you just punish your body. So the idea was when you punish your body, you are you are standing under the sun, or animals or various creatures, they are eating your body. So when this type of atrocity happens, then your soul get liberated. Or like Buddhists, so because they did not believe in the idea of soul, so they believed in cessation of desires, because they created another stage that before action, you desire something, that's why you do some sort of action. So you just stop that desire. And for classical philosophers, they devised an idea that you should understand the nature of yourself, which will bring freedom from rebirth. And yeah, so that's it. And another summary for Jyotisha in one slide, that the oldest text, Rig Veda, which is around 3000 BC to 1500 BC, it was composed during that period. So it observed sun, moon, and probably, it's a big debate that there are planets there or not, but probably yes. The Shatpatha Brahmanas are commentary on Vedas. So one of the commentary observes the exact position of Pleiades in 3000 BCE. Another commentary, Taittiriya Brahman, it gives the list of 27 constellations, which belongs to 2800 BC. It is well proved. And but the oldest Jyotisha text, astrological text in Vedic corpus is Vedanga Jyotish, that is 1500 BC, but it is mostly astronomical. Buddha did not believe in astrology, he criticized astrology, but in his Brahmajala Sutta, one text, he gave a list of 60 types of divination, like palmistry, face reading, etc., 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 but not horoscopic astrology, because at the time of Buddha, it did not come from the Greece. So it came later, after the invasion of Alexander, it came to India. So he did not mention horoscopic astrology, but all kind of other divinations. So, so the current Indian astrology, not the so-called Vedic astrology, because there is nothing called Vedic astrology. It's very Western idea of saying Vedic astrology, because there is no astrology in Vedas. So, so at best you can say Indian astrology or Hindu astrology. No, Hindu astrology will be politically incorrect, but Indian astrology is fine. And it is largely based on Greek astrology. But what Indians did, they had this nakshatra-based, constellation-based astrology. They combined that thing with the sign-based astrology of Greece, and then innovation happened. So my research identifies a kind of cohabitation of the idea of karman and Jyotisha in the early Vedic days, but it got a concrete setup in the texts of Varāhamihira in the 6th century AD. When he says that this horoscope, it represents nothing but fruition of all good and bad actions done in previous existence and now ready to yield their fruits. Again, he said in another text that it is all it just represents the good and bad deeds of your past lives, and the science of astrology is nothing but like a lamp which reveals the things in darkness in a room. So he was very clear. He believed in karmic causation, not in planetary causation like Ptolemy and other people. There is a big debate. It is happening since last 50, 100 years, but the modern scholars like Martin Ganston or Katrina Gwenji, they are still arguing about this lamp trick. Katrina Gwenji, she is an anthropologist. She is saying it is just kind of just a random verse, and it does not mean that the whole astrology was based on karman doctrine, but she is wrong, because she is arguing that there is no coherent discussion on this idea, but it is there in the manuscripts, which was never published. Yeah, so karman can also be calculated. If you see, no one calculates right now in India, but Varāhamihira gave a kind of planetary phase system. It is different than the planetary phase system which is practiced in India, Vinshotri. There is a Mool Dasha, the root planetary phases. You can calculate your karman, and there is another special system in India. This is called Ashtak Varg, that is octave based calculation. So these numbers can be interpreted as karmic impressions, the actions you did in your past birth, how it will manifest, when it will manifest. Like for King Charles, if you make this planetary phase, then you can see when he became king because of what karma, and when he will not be a king in time to come. So yeah, so this is my main thing, the chapter on fate and free will, that is called daivapuruṣkārādhyāya. Adhyaya means chapter, Daiva is fate, Puruṣakāra is human effort or free will. And so before that, Varāhamihira did a lot of contribution in astrology in the 6th century. So he was an astronomer, great astronomer. He was a great astrologer. And so till date we know that he wrote 12 texts. Many are lost, so 2 of them I am again reconstructing from manuscripts thanks to his commentators, and 3 of them I am editing and translating, and also searching for one which is, we don't know where it is. And so brief introduction about this text, Bṛhadyātrā. So Yatra astrology was an Indian innovation. David Pingree, he argued that it was different from Greek Catarchic astrology, and he also argued that it influenced the Syrian scholar Theophilus of Edessa and other astrologers from Islamic world, Byzantium and Western Europe. And so Bṛhadyātrā was written for a king who is going for a march or military march or taking a journey. And the first chapter is a philosophical discussion on fate and human effort. And so because it was written for a king, not for masses, so it shows some scholarly approach. Varāhamihira was a great scholar. He refers all people. He even, arguably, he referred Ptolemy in his Bṛhadyātrā, Ptolemy, Manetho, and other astrologers, but in a very cryptic manner. And this, probably it was also a kind of deliberate approach from Varāhamihira. He wanted to respond to some philosophers in the king's court. So that's why you don't see this kind of discussion in Bṛhadyātrā, that is more book on natal astrology. So he discusses it here because he is writing for an intellectual king who will understand what is the philosophy behind it. So that's why he is writing this chapter, and it's a kind of very compatibilism of fate and free will in astrology. So there are 35 chapters, 568 verses. I am doing just one chapter. I did it for my MPhil. For my DPhil, I am doing the whole book of 35 chapters. So now I'm just presenting this translation. It is all up to you. So I have written a commentary, but I am not giving it here. It's up to you. You just see the translation and you frame your own ideas. So Varāhamihira, this is the first verse. There are total 20 verses in this chapter. And the first verse, Varāhamihira always does that unlike other Hindu astrologers or writers, he never starts with praising any other god like Shiva or Vishnu or Ganesha. He always worships the sun. Because probably he was also from that, there is a conjecture that he was originally from Iran, that sun worshipping tradition, and Shakudvipi Brahman we say, and also he was from some sun worshipping tradition or family, because his name also signifies sun. Varaha means sun, Mihira means sun. His father's name was Aditya, another synonym for the sun. So see, he always does that. It's a very peculiar thing. He always worshipped the sun first. And so he is saying that the progenitor sun god, which is abode of rays, is victorious. For when he rises, the triple world, together with moving and unmoving beings, blooms and advances like a lotus. And when he sets, it shrinks and disappears like a lotus flower. So I am just giving the very academic translation. I am not doing any funny thing here. We can write a lot of funny things here, like as an astrologer, but no. So, and the second verse says, so now he starts. So, because I said that he is writing for a king, so the second verse is that the king is saying that I will perform the Ashwamedha. Ashwamedha was a kind of ritual, horse sacrifice. Probably few of you know this. And so king is saying that I will perform the horse sacrifice after conquering the land or earth. A king thinking in this way and then making determined efforts, now Varāhamihira is saying, will not possess any sin as he kills beast-like enemies, causing troubles and obstacles in due course of action. So the idea is, because when you do a sacrifice, you earn meritorious deeds, even if you kill animals. So he is comparing battles with sacrifices. Then in a battle, if you kill your enemy, you will not accrue any sin. So he is making this ground. And now he first defines the quality of a king, that a king is expected to be endowed with power of will, power of counseling, and power of ruling, a wise man having control over sense faculties and has a trained class of servants, affectionate to his subjects, having firmness and endurance, consulting seniors always, and always desirous of victory. Now he always does that again, that he mentions the quality of an astrologer. So his astrologer should be politely dressed, not fancy, definitely not in a waistcoat or in a suit. So he says that his astrologer should be politely dressed, learned, proficient in all ancillaries of his own science, belonging to a noble family, dexterous, profound, without any physical and mental defects, and well trained. And now he is adding that his priest should also be like that, because the priest has to perform the rituals if there is any problem in your horoscope. Now he is starting this discourse. He is asking a question that there is only fate or there is also free will. So he says that so he always refers to someone. So he's saying that sages, they describe the attainment of results as the consequence of the combination of fate and human effort. But there are some who discard human efforts and say that only fate itself is the bestower of results. So by the word avdhuya, he is referring to some nihilists or very material people who were very fatalistic in nature. Now he starts argument for fate, that he is quoting from many places and just paraphrasing it. So for fate, he is saying that one obtains only those, one is supposed to obtain, one goes only there when one is supposed to go, and one accomplishes only those one is supposed to accomplish, whatever they are, discomforts or comfort, sukha or dukha. And the second argument is that efforts are not seen as fruitful. He is giving another example, that if accomplishment would arise from human efforts, then nobody would obtain reward, because we can see that those who are exerting themselves day and night are seen with their livelihoods tormented. So no one is happy. The argument number 3 is that fate is the real master, that one is indeed like a bird caged by fate, not the master of oneself. The fate has dictated a fixed command on him, that he is neither the ruler of himself nor of others. Argument number 4 for fate is that fate is supreme and sufficient in itself, that therefore as the fate is supreme, human effort would not complete any undertaking. In this world, the best of success belongs to even those who is not doing any effort. Argument number 5, again, that efforts don't bring success. So he gives another example, that those who are fickle-minded with self-pride make contempt of the fate that is relentless and has unsurpassable laws, and then make moves on their own to get material success. They remain the great sacrificial animals in front of death. Even if conquered, even if they get success, the fortune, compared with goddess Lakshmi, the fortune does not reach to their hands even after a long time of making efforts. So all 5, there are 20 verses, 5 arguments were for fate. Now he starts another question, that about free will or human effort, and he is saying, he is again referring to some other people, scholars, that there are other people also who, depending upon firm resolution, having no respect for fate at all, they praised only human effort regarding accomplishment of an undertaking based on their direct observation. Now he starts arguments for free will or human effort, that even though intelligent, a king without firm action is indeed like a snake without poison, who is always thrashed by the enemies. One example. The second example, that a person who is firm in action stands over those who are bold in speech. So probably he is referring to astrologers who make predictions, who are bold in their predictions. So those who are bold in speech are being delighted and serve that person who is firm in his action. Now the third argument is very long, very complicated Sanskrit words, and it was very difficult to translate it. So he is making a very big comparison, that one, that is a king who is stupefied by the calculation of fate. Probably some astrologer is telling him that you will be great or something. So he is saying that one who is stupefied by the calculation of fate and does not give heed anymore to human effort, that king can never kiss the face of royal success, even with earnest desire and laborious efforts of those calculations. Because only that king who has, like a lion, who has secured a unique right path with courage, drinks freshly made honey of the blood of the war elephant in a war, scented with the elephant's rust, and kisses the face of royal success. So he is making a very big comparison. He is comparing king with Vishnu or king with lion, who kisses the face of goddess Lakshmi or royal success. So now, after doing arguments for fate and free will, now he is asking for the combination. He is saying that it is observed that the achievement of harvest, agriculture produce, it takes place from the union of plowing and rain. Regarding this matter, listen to the following verses originated from the mouth of Dwaypayan, that is, says Vyasa. You know Ved Vyasa, he is the writer of Mahabharata. He was a great epic writer, like Homer or something. So this quote is a kind of, again, paraphrase from Mahabharata. He is saying that it is already said by Vyasa and other people that you should adopt this combination, that both fate and effort are needed. And he is saying neither human effort without fate or fate without human effort. One alone cannot accomplish the undertaking, just like a single piece of fire producing wood does not produce fire. So there are some fire producing wood. When you rub them together, then you get the fire. But it cannot happen with a single piece of wood. Now he is producing this doctrine of karman. He is saying that there are two types of karman. One which belongs to past life and one which you are doing now. So he is saying that all undertakings are accomplished on the basis of the combination of two types of karman, actions, from fate as well as from human effort, that is Daiva and Puruṣakāra, but never from one alone. So this is a very important verse, because here he is clearly saying, based on other evidence, that Daiva is nothing but it was the action of your past birth. So one can argue that it is all throughout, it's all action. There is no fate, there is no divine. Fate itself, your action itself governs your life, your future life. Philosophers, they later, so all these Indian philosophical systems, they were all, they did not believe in God, but later that problem arose, that how, so who will decide the allocation of fate? And then they brought God in their system, but at best, even in that system, God is like just an accountant who keeps the accounts of your karma, that's it. So yeah, and the second last verse, so he is quoting Ved Vyasa again from Mahabharata, from Bhagavad Gita. He is saying that God has said that, or God here is fate, that fate is saying that strive in this way. The governing fate instructs every human being, I shall be there for you striving. How there can be a reward for a man without endeavor? So fate is saying that you do action, rest I will take care of. And yeah, this is very good, interesting verse. So now he is saying, he is prescribing that a person who properly makes efforts diligently, and he is then obstructed at the end of such endeavor, and then waits vigilantly for the divine or fate to take care, then even self-caused misfortunes do not touch him. Here the word self-caused misfortune is really important, because he has used word atmakrita. So this self-caused is nothing but what you did in your past life, not in this life. So the karman theory is very clear that you don't get any result, good or bad, from your actions in this life. So whatever you are doing, you will get result in the next life. Except for certain cases, some philosopher Shankara has said that if you do some intense good or intense bad action, then you will get result in this life. Otherwise, everything is carried forward for the next life. Yeah, and this is the last verse. Now he is saying that how this karman brings results. So he is saying that since the reward of fate accumulated by sattva activity, sattva, rajas and tamas, these are three types of action. Sattva is pious, good actions, then it will ripen with comfort in this life. But if you did in your past life some aggressive actions like rajas, then it will ripe with exertion. And if you did really bad things, tamas actions, then it will ripen with great pain. So therefore, men desire good fates along with good effort. He is just concluding it, and just it. I have these manuscripts I have used. One, so he has written 3 yatra texts. I am doing translation of all 3, and I did not have time to bring everything here. So just one verse from another yatra text that is called Yogayātrā. Again, he is saying that deeds of other past lives, good or bad, is the fate in this life. And if you have good fate, then it will only give you capability of taking birth in a good, affluent, and dignified family. But since childhood, training, goodness, and worthiness result from the combination of fate and human effort, as happens in agriculture. Like there is rain, like fate, and then you do effort. So therefore, one should make efforts. So that's it. Thank you. The 9 planets.